Hi guys, this is Ms. Miner, and this is 11B. And we're going to be talking about using what we know about angle relationships to be able to find missing values. So on this lesson today, we're going to use kind of some prior knowledge that we have about solving equations. I'm going to give you a scenario where part of your angle degrees is missing, and you're going to use what you know about angle relationships in order to be able to find the missing part. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to just kind of go over some of the different kinds of angle relationships that we might see. And I'm going to give you kind of a setup for your angle relationships so that when you go to set up your equation to solve, then you kind of have a scenario that you can use to help you set up your equation. Okay, so the first thing that's important is identifying the angle relationship. So first you're going to identify the angle relationship. So is it an alternate exterior angle? Is it a vertical angle? Is it an alternate interior or a corresponding angle? So you're going to use your angle relationships from last time, and you're going to identify the relationship between the two angles that are given. And today we're going to add back in some other relationships that we know about. So we could have all of the angle relationships that we talked about for 11A, plus in 11A we also reminded ourselves that we could have triangles that add up to 180 degrees, or we could have a circle that adds up to 360 degrees, or maybe we have a straight line, or one of the other, a complementary relationship where they add up to 90. One of the other types of relationships that we talked about when we were in 7th grade. So we're going to add some of those relationships back in as well today. So be looking for those and use your notes from last time. If you didn't get the notes from last time, make sure that you go back and watch the video for 11A, because we went into detail on a lot of different kinds of angle relationships last time. Okay, so first important part is to identify the angle relationship. And then the second important part is ask yourself, what do you know about that relationship, right? Does it add up to 180? Does it add up to 90? Does it add up to 360? Or are they equal to each other? So what do we know about those kinds of relationships? Once we've identified the relationship, then we can figure out what we know about that relationship and then use that information to set up an equation and solve for the missing part. So those are kind of the procedures that I use in order to be able to complete today's work and to meet today's goal of solving for missing parts in an angle relationship. Okay, so this is kind of the situation that I use in order to be able to set up and solve an equation. So I'm going to help you, I'm going to give you some scenarios to help you set up those equations. So let's say my angle relationship is congruent. If my angle relationship is congruent, then my angles have to equal each other. So I kind of say, I take whatever angle 1 is and I set it equal to angle 2. I could also have a supplementary relationship. Angle plus angle is equal to 180. So whatever angle 1 plus angle 2, let's make this be angle 1 plus angle 2, angle 1 plus angle 2, right, is equal to 180. And so I'm going to kind of fill in the blanks here with whatever information about that angle is given. And you'll see in a minute kind of how I use this. I'm going to split screen and then we'll set up and solve some equations. I could have a circle where my angles add up to 360. So I could have multiple angles in a circle, so it just depends on how many angles I have. But for right now, we'll say angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 are equal to 360. So we'll give ourselves 3 angles here, but I could have more, I could have less. In a circle, it just depends on how many angles I'm given. Okay, I could have a triangle, and then I would have 3 angles, angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3. Oh, I didn't put my angle measurement in there. Let me erase that for a minute and just say angle 3 are equal to 180, okay? All right, so there's kind of some scenarios that I use in order to be able to set up and solve an equation. And let's take a look and see how that works. The first thing I want to do here is I want to split screen. Okay, so how am I going to use this to be able to find angle relationship? Oh, I don't know if that will show up as a split screen on my recording. Let's see if I can make that. I don't think that's going to show up as a split screen on my I've got a split screen on my computer, but I don't think it's showing up on my tablet. So the recording is from my tablet, and so you won't be able to see the split screen, but I'll kind of reference back to the other page when I need to. So let's turn that off for now. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do here is the first thing we're going to do is, hey, for right now, I'm going to call this angle 1, and I'm going to call this angle 2. And I'm going to say, hey, what is the relationship between angle 1 and angle 2? So for now, I'm just calling it angle 1 and angle 2. First thing that we always want to do then is we want to identify the angle relationship. So the angle relationship between angle 70, angle 2, right, which is 70 degrees, and angle 1. And you can see there's some missing number of degrees. So what I'd like you to do maybe is pause the video right now and go back to 11A and look at your angle relationships and see if you can identify the angle relationship between angle number 1 and angle number 2. Okay, hopefully you did that, and you can check your work. These angles are alternate exterior angles. And what we know about those, now remember, I'm just going to click back here for a minute. So we identified the angle relationship. Now we have to ask ourselves, what do we know about this angle relationship? Alternate exterior angles are equal to each other. And so we can say, hey, these angles are equal to each other, they're congruent. And what I want is to say, hey, okay, if these are equal to each other, then I want angle 1 to equal angle 2. And so I'm going to use this kind of setup right here in order to be able to set up an equation that I'm going to solve for the missing part. And so I want angle 1, oh, I got to go back to my pen now. I want angle 1 to equal angle 2. And angle 1 is 2x plus 10. That is its measurement right now. I need to find out how many degrees are missing here, right? And they have to equal my 70-degree angle. Well, now I have an equation that I can solve for x. I can find the missing part. And I'm just going to solve this equation. So I subtract 10 from both sides. This is going to go away. 2x is equal to 60. And I'm running out of room here. Let me rewrite this. 2x is equal to 60 now. And so in order to get x by itself, I'm going to divide by 2. And x is equal to 30 degrees. So now I know that x has to be 30 degrees because this angle over here has to be equal to 70 degrees. All right, So that's kind of how we do it. And I'm just going to kind of use these like scenarios in order to help me figure out angle relationships. So I'm going to erase my work here really quick, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to work with some different angles this time. So now instead of that being angle 1 and angle 2, we're going to take a look at angle 1 will be this one and angle 2 will be this one. First thing that I should do is identify the angle relationship. Maybe pause the video and see if you can not just identify the angle relationship, but maybe set up an equation. Use this page over here to help us, use our notes that we took over here to help us set up the kind of equation that we want in order to be able to solve for y. Okay, hopefully you paused the video and now you can check your work and see how you did. We can say, hey, these two angles, they are on the same line together, and if I connect those angle arcs together, they make that nice half circle, and so these are a linear pair. And linear pairs are supplementary. They add up to 180 degrees. So going back over here, if I have supplementary angles, I want angle 1 plus angle 2 to equal 180 degrees. And so in this case, I'm going to use this other scenario. I'm going to kind of use this situation to set it up, and I'm going to stick angle 1 in that box, and I'm going to stick angle 2 in that box, and I'm going to set them equal to 180 degrees. So angle 1, oh, now I got to go back to my pen again. Sorry about that. So angle 1 plus angle 2 has to equal 180 degrees. Well, what is angle 1? Angle 1 is 3y plus 11, and angle 2 is 70. So here is what my equation looks like. 3y plus 11 plus 70 is equal to 180 degrees. Now I just use that equation and solve for y. When I solve an equation, the first thing that I want to do is I want to combine my like terms. Here are a couple of like terms. 11 and 70 are both just plain numbers, so I can combine those and simplify this equation just a little bit. And I'm going to get 3y plus 81 is equal to 180 degrees. Now I can go ahead and solve this equation. I'm going to move it right over here so I have some more space to solve. 3y plus 81 equals 180 degrees. So let's go ahead and solve. Subtract 81 from both sides. 3y is equal to 99. These went away, they canceled out. And then divide by 3. Divide by 3. This is just regular equation solving steps. We've been doing this for a while now. Make sure that if you're struggling to solve equations still, that you contact me or Mrs. Zeider and let us know so that we can make sure we get you some review on how to do equation solving. So y is equal to 33 degrees. And there is my missing number of degrees. All right, so you can see Ms. Miner kind of uses these scenarios, these setups, in order to be able to set up the equation properly so that we can solve for the missing part. Okay, so just as a review, what is given, right? What is the angle relationship? And then what do we know about that relationship? Is it equal 90 degrees? Are they congruent? Do they add up to 180? And then we might have some situations where maybe they add up to 360 degrees if they're a circle, right? And so that's another scenario that we might be looking for. And then we're going to set up and solve. So make sure that definitely make sure that you go through and put these scenarios or these setups into your notes so that you have, hey, if it's a circle, I'm going to take my angles, I'm going to set them, I'm going to add them together, right? If it's a triangle, So make sure you have that page in your notes and that you've written down those scenarios so that you can use them to help you set up and solve your equation. All right, let's take a look at some examples. These are straight from our homework assignment today. So if you're following along and writing things down, you got some free answers on your homework assignment today. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is identify the angle relationship. How are these angles related? And if we look at this, hey, they're on the same line together. And if I connect their angle arcs, they make that nice rainbow shape. This is a linear pair. And what do I know about linear pairs? Well, I know that linear pairs are supplementary, so they add up to 180 degrees. So if I'm looking at my setup, I want angle 1 plus angle 2. I better erase that. I want to make sure I give myself enough room on here to be able to solve the equation. So I'm going to set it up. I'm going to make it up here just a little bit better. Okay. All right. So I know angle 1 plus angle 2, and I can just call either one of these angles 1 or 2, right? This is going to be 1, this is going to be 2. And so angle 1 is x minus 30, and angle 2 is 2x. Now I'm going to use this information. X minus 30 plus 2x has to equal 180 degrees. The first thing I should do here is combine my like terms. I have an x and I have a 2x. When I combine those together, remember this is an invisible 1x, so that is 3 total x's minus 30 is equal to 180 degrees. So now I can go through and solve the rest of this equation. I'm going to change colors here really quickly in order to do that so you can kind of see separately. Add 30 to both sides. And 3x is equal to 210. Divide by 3 to get x alone. That's going to cancel. And x is equal to 70 degrees. Now I could ask, hey, what is the exact number of degrees of this angle? And if I want to know, right, then I have to put x back in here. I know x is 70 degrees now. So 70 degrees minus 30 degrees would give me 40 degrees for that angle. And then if I know that angle is 40 degrees and they have to add up to 180 degrees, right? Then this would have to be 140 degrees. And you can see that if I put 2 times 70, right, 2 times x, which is 70 degrees, that would also give me the 140 degrees that I would need there. So there's a couple of ways to identify the exact measurement. Some of the questions on your homework today are going to say, hey, just solve for x. And some of the questions on your homework today are going to say, give the exact angle measurement. So you're going to have to put x back in and make sure you know what the exact angle measurement would be. So you make sure and read your directions on your homework carefully today. All right, here's some other examples that I want to go over. Just some different kinds of angle relationships that you might see. And so we're going to do this one first, right here. The angle relationship here, hopefully you can see, those angles are going to form a circle. And so here's an example of angles that form a circle. So I'm going to take my 3 angles, and those 3 angles have to add up to 360 degrees. So angle number 1 is 297, angle number 2 is 36, and angle number 3 is x minus 47. So my equation I'm trying to solve is 297 plus 36 plus x minus 47 is equal to 360. Oh, I'm even running out of room again. All right, so remember the first thing I should always do is combine my like terms. Here are some plain numbers, and so I'm going to combine those numbers together. 297 plus 36 minus 47 gives me 286 plus x is equal to 360. There, now I have enough room to solve it. And now I can just go ahead and solve. Once I've simplified and combined my like terms, I can go ahead and solve for x. So I minus 286 from both sides. This is going to go away. And x is going to be equal to 74. Now I know x is 74 degrees. So if that is the case, then I can figure out the exact angle measurement.
The final four almost for the ping pong tournament. So if you want to come see the best of the best, come on down to the gym.
If I put
Also,
74 in here for x, then that angle measurement here is going to be 27 degrees. And I can check my work. I can say, hey, does 297 plus 36 plus 27 equal 360? And yes, it does. So now we have all of our angle measurements. We also know what x is equal to. Okay, last one. Let's do this last one just as another example. And then I will let you be free to work on your homework assignment. Just going to erase my work from the other one here. Let's take a look at this one up here. Okay, so any angles that are straight across a transversal from each other are vertical angles. And we know vertical angles are congruent. They are equal to each other. So one angle has to equal the other angle. So 38 degrees is equal to 4x plus 2. Now I can go ahead and solve this equation for x. I'm going to minus 2 from both sides. 36 is equal to 4x. Divide by 4. Those are going to cancel, and x is equal to 9. Now I know how many degrees x is. I also know this angle measurement has to be equal to 38 degrees, right? So the exact measurement there would be 38 degrees, but x needs to be 9 in order for that to be true. All right, okay, so there's some situations, and if you have any questions, make sure you contact me or Mrs. Zeider so that we can make sure that we get you help or clarify anything that you need. All right, good luck, guys.